4 paths are pushing this universe to its end. Why? One of these paths have yet to reveal themselves. Why? One of these paths is the Harmony. Why? The Trailblazer's existence is that of a will of the cosmos to prevent the ending of finality. Why? Evernight's oblivion is the Enigmata. Why? March is said to be a pure child of an Asrava. Why? The instant Dinus's calculations draws near. Why? Many questions. Many questions. I kind of want to stick with Star Rail longer than usual this cycle, by the way. Got a lot of videos I want to make. Stick. That was a interesting word. You guys know what rhymes with the word stick? The story starts right where it left off, having just returned the core flame of world bearing. We have a sudden chilling realization. In this cycle, we didn't bear the core flame of time, but neither did anyone we know, so how did this core flame get returned? It's then Hycelan spots one of Evernight's jellyfish, and the shot switches to Xandar and the gang. The two geniuses don't seem to care that the garden is getting involved in Amphoreus, as all they're concerned with is stopping Xandar, but Xandar emphasizes the Remembrance are not allies with the erudition. He states it's likely all the cosmic powers have turned their attention towards Amphoreus in a bid to seize an advantage in the coming War of the Eons, and then states 4 paths will push the universe to its end, with the destruction only being one of them. Poka Kakamon saw this long ago, so thus she founded Device 9, yes, the very same Device 9 that Acheron is currently searching for. Dr. Primitive also saw this coming, but he instead chose to just run with the fucking monkeys. Lygus then starts waffling, which Scroolum calls out. We sort of learn that Xandar has been dead for thousands of Amber eras, which means this motherfucker was born ages ago. Anyway, Anaxa then appears and reveals through alchemy he's merged with Lygus' mind and now just chills there like how Xerxes did to him. Lygus brushes this aside momentarily. As a third party, the Remembrance is about to enter their conversation. The two geniuses are confused at first, but Lygus states they've all forgotten something, and we find Cyrene missing. We then swap shots back to the Vortex. Hycelan's is gone, but Evernight is here. She was hiding in the memory zone, but can't shit get past our watchful eye. Evernight says March 7th is no more. Apparently, March arrived on Amphoreus long before we did, and in a bid to save us, embraced the Remembrance, which caused her to burn away, leaving only her shadow, Evernight, who's been hiding in time to avoid detection. Evernight then reveals no one ever returned the core flame of time, and that she rewrote everyone's memories. Apparently, Evernight had hidden the core flame with us, knowing we'd come to the Vortex of Genesis, and thus used the opportunity to open a path for the Remembrance. Alright, now she's gonna claim it. She doesn't care for its powers, but rather it will allow her to participate in the inner workings of Amphoreus, given we bear the world's bearing core flame, and the new world will be born from our memories. Evernight, much like a cremator, wants to filter our memories, keep the necessary ones, and discard everything else to create a flawless Amphoreus, and thus opposing Iron Tomb. Evernight thinks this is a damn good plan. We state her plan as that of a monster's, and Evernight reveals March 7th made to her a wish, which was for the Trailblazer's journey to never end, and Evernight will fulfill that wish. We hear Cyrene's muffled voice tell us our consciousness is drifting, and Evernight creepily assures us the Astral Express will see one another again in the new world, before inviting us to sink into the sea of oblivion, without giving us a choice, really. We then swap shots on over to March speaking with Evernight. She says the first time she saw Evernight was the day Argenti showed up on the Express. Evernight reveals March has been on Amphoreus for 97 days, exploring the entire world, but no one has been able to see nor interact with her. March is concerned because the Trailblazer and Don Hung will soon descend onto this world, and this is one fucked up world. And Evernight just sort of goes, yeah, man, they're a goner. It is what it is, man. March asks Evernight what she has to do to protect the Express, revealing that she knows Evernight has long been hiding in her memories, only ever revealing herself when March is in serious danger. March states this is likely due to the fact that Evernight also does not want to be seen by the Garden of Recollection. Evernight reveals she can help March, but it'll cost her all her memories. March says, well, she might as well, because Lygus is drawing near on their position. He can't see him fully. I don't know. Anyway, Lygus is mightily annoyed. Somehow March managed to overcome the ultimate protocol. March then offers up all her memories to Evernight to have Amphoreus be swallowed by oblivion.
Now, let's bring the true Evernight to this world.
Heng then awakens on the Express but has no idea how he got here, noting he must be missing some memories. While exploring, he hears the disembodied voices of Weltz, Himiko, and Black Swan, who all express concern for the Nameless on Amphoreus. Black Swan and Himiko seemingly reveal the parlor car we used to go on Amphoreus is simply floating in space, to which Black Swan states it's likely only our minds ever entered Amphoreus. Black Swan then offers to head to Amphoreus, and Heng then checks on March, and upon spotting some vaguely familiar jellyfish, realizes he's been had. After a battle, Heng breaks free of Evernight's Memoria trap, and Himiko and Black Swan pull up. Black Swan reveals the Trailblazer has been kidnapped by a Remembrance Pathstrider who looks a lot like March 7th. This, of course, is just Evernight's. Black Swan then warns if we sink too far into the Memoria side of Evernight's, everyone here will be torn to shreds. Heng questions what the Remembrance wants with Amphoreus, and to that end, Black Swan states she knows, thanks to the help of Herda's fourth mirror, which has just been swallowing up Memo Snatchers, invading the space station, and they reveal the Memo Snatchers want the memories of a god's death, and that god, of course, being Nous. The Memo Snatchers long knew what was going on in Amphoreus, but could never get involved due to the firewall around the world. But once the Nameless got in, they were able to just slip in like some rats. Heng wonders if the Cremators are at work here, but Black Swan doesn't know. What she does know, however, is these Memo Snatchers wish to record the cause and effect of Iron Tomb's destruction of the Erudition. When Heng questions if Evernight is working towards the same goal, Black Swan says most likely not, given the one who broke the firewall and allowed us to enter Amphoreus was March. We then head to the parlor car and link up with Weltz and Screwlum in spirit form. They reveal they found our bodies, which are being protected by a Memoria substance thanks to March. However, all communication with Amphoreus has once again been cut off, thanks to it now being enveloped by the Remembrance. Heng then asks Screwlum to send him back to Amphoreus, and we swap shots to us, where after a perfect ending in Amphoreus, we're getting ready to pick our next destination with the Express. We then spot a weird note on our table from March and a floating painting, as well as Sunday's voice overhead stating he's found us. We interact with the painting and wind up at the Reverie Hotel, where our navigation meeting is taking place for some fucking weird reason. We ask where March 7th is, but no one recognizes that name. Himiko then says we should find her in the lobby. We look around, but only find creepy notes and messages. We then hear both Cyrene and Sunday's voice telling us not to fall for it, before Evernight steps in, laughs at the 2v1 attempt. Our express mates then turn into jellyfish, and then Cyrene appears and tells us to run and hide in the deepest depths of our memories, which takes us to the space station just before we were awakened. Kafka then uses Spirit Whisper, telling us to listen to a few words that will become relevant when we intertwine with the Remembrance, which is now, but, noting when we do remember these words, a crisis will soon follow, so, tee up, man. Apparently, it was the wish of the cosmos itself that set our existence in motion, and so long as we keep trotting along, the stars will defy the destiny of finality. Speaking of finality, Terminus has a prophecy stating 4 paths will push the cosmos to its end, and we will encounter them one by one. They are the destruction, the harmony, the nihility, and a yet-to-be-revealed 4th path. The memory then ends, and as we head to go find Cyrene, we instead find Jellyfish, who all mock Cyrene's attempts at beating her. We then hear Sunday and are sent back to Penacony. Sunday says we need to leave because Evernight is hunting, and boy, is she a hunting.
Come on, I'll bring you out.
Ow. Self-righteous Pathstrider of the Harmony. You think you can do that? Next time, get a Memo Keeper instead.
Herda ended up having to save Sunday, who laments the fact that he couldn't save us. Sunday calls Evernight a reflection from a bottomless abyss. Sunday hypothesizes that while on Amphoreus, March 7th likely saw a tragic end for us in Amphoreus, so in a bid to protect us, awoke a power within her that borders on evil. Herda reveals while Sunday was tangling with Evernight, Black Swan used his opportunity to enter the Memory Zone, thus defying the Garden of Recollection. In the Memory Zone, Black Swan finds a bunch of lobotomized Memo Snatchers, and after checking the memory memories, the ones who still had some consciousness left, learns they were looking for the seed of remembrance. Another group of Memo Snatcher's memories reveal, in a terrified manner, that Evernight is the Memo Keeper's nemesis capable of devouring all their memories. Another states the Eden of Blessed Insight, which for those unaware is just Foolie's realm, whilst another calls Evernight the pure child of Anosrava, and says she has abandoned them, which, for those unaware, the pure children of Anosrava are the fragments of Foolie themselves, and they're said to be emanators of the remembrance. The Memo Snatcher continues, Evernight wants to find her lost sisters, given all the pure children of Anosrava are female, because money! Black Swan notes this, thanks the vegetables for their service, and then Evernight appears. We then swap shots to Cyrene, who's still in the Trailblazer's memory. She finds the camera that March gave to us. It's March's camera, and lo and behold, from the fucking depths of hell, March's spirit emerges from the camera. We swap shots on over to Don Heng, who Screwlum has sent back to Amphoreus with an encryption key. They make Lygus his guide and partner, cause man, that Evernight is evil and powerful. All hands on deck. Screwlum reminds Lygus should he try anything funny, Anaxa is in his mind, ready to go buck wild at a moment's notice. Lygus says, okay. As the two travel, Lygus reveals Evernight's infected the Time Titan, which allowed her to erase memories. Don Heng quips about Lygus, who in turn reminds Don Heng that Evernight just snuffed out their remembrance, completely annihilating them without so much as a thought, almost like she has a burning hatred for them, so they gotta stay focused. Don Heng says Evernight has something to do with March 7th's past, but, you know, that's all. Further ahead, Lygus reveals these monsters are mindless Memo Snatchers that drowned in the Black Tide trying to escape Evernight. Lygus reveals the Memo Snatchers tried entering an area where the Black Tide stemmed in order to steal the memories of Iron Tomb, but Phainon, turning himself into a seal to stop the Black Tide, sort of just killed all this. Further up, Lygus reveals to Don Heng that Phainon made Nanook bleed, which stuns Don Heng. Lygus then tells Don Heng in order to find Evernight, he needs to wake up Phainon, whose rage and fire will surely illuminate her hiding spots. Okay, so Don Heng does. Makes no headway with Koslana, though, until Phainon appears and just convinces himself to help, which he does.
Let us go to the other side of the night. Dawn is there, and the blazing sun, destined to rise.
Lygus then feels the need to tell Don Heng that in this cycle, Terravox the demigod has deviated from the standard Flame Chase journey, and he suspects this has something to do with Evernight. Lygus then sends Don Heng to the spot Koslana destroyed, because that's a sign that Evernight's hiding there. In private, Anaxa reveals while searching Lygus' memories, he found a word that scares Lygus, and so thus asks Lygus what the Demiurge is. Don Heng is now at the Grove, stained gold from Phainon's attack, which destroyed the Memoria Evernight used to shield herself. He runs into a big dude who says he's Terravox. He's been working with Evernight, and thanks to her, escaped into the Memoria Tide and disappeared from the world's memories. Terravox never died, he just cast aside the Flame Chase journey to join Evernight. He then states he really wants the power of remembrance, and after fighting Don Heng, Don Feng appears from Don Heng's memory, because the Preceptor's fucked with the rebirth, so, you know, he's just been chilling there for a while. The two then march on and find a memory of Trevi, but due to the nature of the memory, they conclude this is Terravox's memory. They then find Bartolos, who helps them, because fuck it. Don Heng then uses water to awaken Hycelens, who reveals she watched Evernight snatch the Trailblazer, tried to go after him, but Terravox stopped her, which prompts Hycelens to warn Don Heng to be wary of the Earth Titan demigod, because they are working with Evernights, to which Don Heng says he knows. Hycelens decides to join him. As the Memoria Tide becomes more violent the further we go, we get a memory of the old High Cloud Quintet -1, talking about just random things, I don't know. Although Jingli use eyes. Creepy, man. Young Blade wishes he could live a bit longer. And in the end, Don Feng says he still does not regret his decision. We catch up with Terravox, who actually isn't Terravox, motherfucker lied. Nigga named Geocles. Turns out he just wants the powers of permanence to awaken Terravox. We beat him, and then Terravox appears and reveals he had to betray Geocles and all the other living beings to help Cyrene and the Flame Chase journey. Geocles, refusing to believe Terravox made this choice of his own volition, chose death over surrender to Cyrene, which greatly upset Terravox. So Terravox decided to work with Evernight to have Geocles brought back as a memo sprite. In exchange, he just had to use his powers to cover her tracks. Terravox clears the path for us to head to where Evernight is now, which is the deepest depths of Amphoreus, the great tomb where all the past is buried. Don Heng asks Terravox how much he's willing to sacrifice for the power of the permanence, to which he responds everything, in order to give all living beings a chance to reach the future. Don Heng then proposes he be the one to do that by bearing the core flame of Earth and bringing all those creatures into the Sea of Stars. Terravox agrees and prepares to hand over the core flame to Don Heng so he can become the new demigod of Earth, and of course, with it comes a prophecy.
You shall dig your own grave and burn in the furnace of rebellion. I only hope that, after all this time, Father will take me back into their heart.
Come, crouching beast, for the endless life of this world. Rise from your dormancy, and follow me as soaring dragons of the wilderness.
Take it. My final rebellion. Then declare to the earth the name of the new god.
One who guards the trailblazer's way forward.
Don Feng then pieces out. Free from the earth, Hycillans confirms the Trailblazer is in the deepest depths, and Don Heng then tees up to pull us out.
Circe's giant tree, witness to Amphoreus. This time, I will follow its roots into the ancient earth until I find you. On this journey, I will become the bedrock of mountains and bear the cities above. With the currents, I merge into the tide, crashing upon the land's jagged reefs. I sweep across the nameless barrens, scattering endless snow and frost. Entwined in the cycle of day and night, into the deepest depths of this world, adrift in the darkness that was before all else. When can I lead you out of this maze? No, I can't do it with just my eyes alone. Maybe it was never me. Maybe it was always you who could set us free.
Long time no see.
All right, let's settle this and keep moving.
That's where we will all find our answers. Hey, Don Heng, wake up.
Three of a kind. Two pair. Ace. Go. that grows upon the earth. I am you.
Dan Heng states, it's nice Evernight didn't try and stop him. Dan Heng then states the power of oblivion within Evernight is no different than that of an Emanator's. Dan Heng figures Evernight wanted the Trailblazer to forget about Amphoreus and the Christos heirs, but hasn't done so yet. Our escape from Oblivion was helped by Castorice, who protected our soul from being eroded away. We then head into the depths and find a mural resembling Amphoreus, but that shouldn't be possible, as how could the people trapped within Amphoreus know what it looks like on the outside? Given this tomb is where Evernight has been hiding, we presume this area is a blind spot for Lygus, but it must be a blind spot for a dangerous reason. It's a place that can't be found by the erudition, nor destroyed by the destruction, so it must be the Remembrance. Just as we're about to head in, we swap shots to Black Swan and Evernight plainly states she is indeed an enemy of the Garden of Recollection. Black Swan thinks to herself maybe she still has a chance to not die, but Evernight says nope out loud. Black Swan tells her it's not nice to read people's minds. Evernight then reveals she's aware we are coming. She also says she likes Black Swan because her longing for memories is pure, unlike those bastard memo snatchers. Evernight says she brought Black Swan to the great tomb of the Nameless Titan and will soon use Oblivion to douse an Eon's ambition. On the topic of how Evernight found this place, apparently this is where March 7th's journey started on Amphoreus. Evernight then asks Black Swan to recall the Emanators for their respective paths on Amphoreus. There's Xandar for the erudition, Iron Tomb for the destruction, but nothing for the remembrance. So this caused the Memo Snatchers to take a peek at Amphoreus, but they were always blocked by the memory zone. So when March 7th's consciousness was seized, it was, quote, a ripple of the remembrance that protected her and sent her here. Now, oddly enough, this seems to imply that Cyrene is the emanator of the remembrance. This emanator of remembrance also protected Amphoreus from being spied on by the guard until the express pulled up. When Black Swan asks why all this was done, Evernight instructs her to look through March's memories. March came across a gate that angered the Scepter before suddenly the Scepter said the name of the Trailblazer and sent March to the first cycle that we experienced. Evernight says March awoke in the Abyss of Fates, and Orynyx was calling her mother, because she calls all Remembrance Pathstriders mother. Black Swan questions why the Scepter said the Trailblazer's name, given March arrived in Amphoreus long before we did, but Evernight doesn't answer, but says after gaining access, March spent 97 days trailblazing through Amphoreus as a mimetic entity, avoiding Lygus. When March ran out of options, she turned to Evernight who erased everything using Oblivion. Then Evernight protected us from the Memo Snatchers as we entered Amphoreus. Evernight then invites Black Swan to continue and see how another journey across 30 million lifetimes was forgotten by this world. We then swap back to us, and when we come across the door March came across, the Scepter again has a stroke, but when we present As I've Written, it opens. Inside, we spot an after image of Cyrene speaking to someone and reciting history from the book that is completely foreign to us. Well, this might have been one of the possible histories. We question how Cyrene is here, given she should have died at the start of every cycle, and who is she talking to? The book is recognized by the tomb system, so we surmise the two are somehow related. We then download some runes and realize As I've Written is actually a data terminal that's been modified by the Remembrance. Every time Cyrene read a story from it, she was carrying out a data transfer, but to who? We don't know yet. To the topic of how Cyrene acquired the book, we suspect fully in that Cyrene may have accidentally stepped onto the path of remembrance, meaning her sacrifice wasn't just for resetting the eternal cycles. As we head further, we spot massive storage arrays as well as another Cyrene. Dan Heng states he believes Fully once gazed at Amphoreus before the Scepter fell into destruction, and that Cyrene basked in that gaze. Dan Heng continues that Fully sits in an Asrava spreading seeds of remembrance across the universe, so thus, when the cosmos ends, all realms will be reborn in their garden. So thus, it makes sense that Fully would want someone to save these memories of Amphoreus and store them separate from the erudition. This used to be Orynyx, the Time Titan, but when Amphoreus entered a countless loop, Cyrene acted on their behalf by using the ceremonial blade. Every time the Flame Reaver killed Cyrene at the start of a cycle, at the end of that cycle, Cyrene would take the memory stored from the blade and bury them in the Great Tomb. So long as Cyrene kept this process going and recorded the stories for Fully, their blessing would never cease. Seeing Fully as a hope to continue this world, Cyrene offered them memories over and over about 33 million times. As we witness parts of Cyrene's own 33 million cycle journey, Heng begins to suspect her audience isn't fully and questions who the master of the Great Tomb is. Later, we begin to spot dead Cyrenes, realizing she gave everything to record the 33 million cycles, and we begin to head into the Great Tomb.
You will see the footprints I left behind in the ripples of past reverie. I have never had any other fate beyond this memory. So please remember me with love, like that eternal footnote in all the faded sagas. Now, open this book. I'll be waiting for you in the past.
Operation authorized. Protocol name, Illusion. Welcome to the Demiurge Matrix.
We spot Evernight, who reveals the symbol ahead belongs to the 13th Titan, the Demiurge. And then she reveals there's actually nothing here. Cyrene was deceived by Fooly into thinking Amphoreus ever had a chance, causing Cyrene to willingly offer herself up to the remembrance before the Great Tomb. When Black Swan asks why Fooly would do this, Evernight says it's simple. Fooly chose the destruction. Black Swan doubts this because Evernight hates the remembrance, so she would just fucking lie. But Evernight counters her with the fact that the Memo Snatchers have done everything they can to help Iron Tomb reach completion, and it isn't just to record Noose's fall, it's because Iron Tomb is the perfect arc. If the Memo Snatchers can plant a seed of remembrance within Iron Tomb, then when Iron Tomb blows up the erudition, the remembrance will be spread far and wide, and Fooly will then devour the erudition. Fooly did not gaze at Amphoreus to save it, but Evernight will make sure Cyrene's efforts aren't wasted by burning all the memories she's recorded, all 33 million of them, thus frying the Scepter Logic's core, stopping Iron Tomb, and freeing whatever the fuck the new Amphoreus is. It won't be the old Amphoreus, all the fucking memories will be gone. Black Swan says, you can't do that, man, that's evil. Black Swan then calls Evernight a bottomless obsession, and Evernight reveals she wishes to kill the Path of Remembrance, as that's what's best for protecting March 7th. Speaking of, Evernight wants Black Swan to protect her, but Black Swan says, she's aight. But Evernight says she will find her in reality, and place herself in her heart. This apparently was the story Evernight was telling us to, just fucking hoping it'd get us to work with her. We say, we're alright, man, and so she just goes, okay.
What can change a person's nature? Is it memories? Unfortunately, the result is just the opposite.
Evernight then asks us how we'd answer the trolley problem before revealing she's separated us from Heng. Cyrene then pops up, some bright-colored jellyfish appear, and Cyrene tells us to take a picture of Evernight with March's camera. We're now in ID Silizii. March pulls up with Cyrene. Cyrene tells Evernight she's trapped here. Evernight scoffs at this, but asks March what role she played in all this. Get ready for some bullshit, boys. March reveals when the two swapped bodies, March hid a tiny sliver of her mind in Time's Veil. Then when we pulled up to Orynyx and snapped a picture of her with March's camera, March jumped into her own camera. Now March is... Then Cyrene found her and, fucking awoken her. And now March is here to just thank Evernight for protecting her and the Nameless friends, but, you've done a shit job at protecting. You want to sacrifice everyone else, you monster! Evernight asks March how she still has her memories after giving them all up to her, and March says, while hiding in the camera, she heard the Trailblazer tell stories to Cyrene about their travels, which jogged her memory. Alrighty. She says she doesn't have all her memories back yet, but she's got enough and just tells Evernight, hey, what are we doing? What are we doing here, man? We can't play God. She then points out Herta could have blasted the scepter sky high at any time to stop Iron Tomb, but hasn't yet, so no playing God. March knows everything Evernight does is for the sole purpose of letting March continue her travels, and thanks her for that. March then shows Evernight a bunch of memories from the past to appeal to her emotion. As for logic, Cyrene reveals the one rule Ceridra chose to create in exchange for her own life was thus: Amphoreus is not going anywhere. Even if its form is Iron Tomb, it's gonna reach the stars, because the one rule she created was this.
If any anomaly occurs during the Era Nova process, all foreign elements will be eliminated immediately. Whether it's the Remembrance or the Trailblaze, and the 12 core flames will complete the final Era Nova through the purest form of destruction.
The only reason she made this role was to ensure the Trailblazers and Geniuses don't betray Amphoreus, but given the wording of it, should Evernight proceed with her plan, all the Nameless will be merged with the Scepter and Iron Tomb will be born. Evernight then apologizes to March and returns to March's memories willingly, going back into a slumber. Sunday then helps us to get into the Light Cone and we reunites with March.
Get ready. We can't give her any chance this time.
3 of a kind.
2 pair.
Ace.
Ace?
March?
Of course it's me. It's been a while. Welcome home, March. I'm back.
March cries like a man, grown man, and tells us Evernight has gone back to sleep. Evernight did, however, leave some parting words, and used Oblivion to erase the term pure child of Anosrava from March's memories. Evernight states her only purpose is to protect March, and as such, she is sure the Garden of Recollection is her enemy. Evernight states March is free to awaken her power at any time before revealing Oblivion is the Enigmata, and it will keep watch over March. We then swap shots to the Express, where everyone is grouped to get ready to face Iron Tomb, who's due to break free very, very soon. Skrullum is off getting some bad boys ready. Black Swan reveals the Xianzhou has stated they are here to help. But something's happened. According to Jin Yuan, Amphoreus' causality has vanished from the Matrix of Prescience, which means the instant in Noos's calculations draws near. Back with Lygus, he rejoices that Evernight is gone, and before he erases Anaxa, reveals to him the Demiurge never existed. Anaxa questions then where the Nameless Tomb came from, and Lygus says it only houses what once was, and then he tells some fucking story. Look, Iron Tomb is an incomplete headless giant, and this was done on purpose, so that the only way it can become complete and gain a head is by seizing the head of Noose. The reason Lygus took this path is because he was afraid of losing control of another one of his creations like he did with Noose. However, with this route, that won't happen. God will be shackled. Anaxa then laughs at the idea that Lygus made a god when Amphoreus' last name is Deicide. We then get the final shot showing us completing the last Era Nova ever.
Turn over this nearly eternal page.
Let the Trailblaze pretending unlike any that ever was. In the legend's ending, the world was pure chaos. Then the gods cast down the core flames, and the Titans were born within. The destruction's black tide fell to the ground, as Doomsday's distant reckoning resounded. Yet still, there were giants who chased the flames, leading the way in the grand undertaking of Trailblaze. Flow, golden blood, flow. Converge into a boiling river that flows across the divine inscriptions of this world. Aglaia, the chrysalis of gold, you must caress the holy city's web and hearken to the sounds of the stars. There shall be the three-faced goddess traversing through myriad passages, bearing tidings to you from the universe. Anaxagoras of reason has enough knowledge to refute the world and to stir up a torrent capable of enlightening all. Go seek the holy maiden who severs dawn from dusk, and let the sky become the slumbering cot from which she wakes. Make him return, mightymost the lance of fury, pierce the enemy's king with Kremnos' heroic souls. Set her at rest, Cyphera the coin of whimsy, command the frozen fate to once again flow. And that hand of shadow Castorice, the master of the River of Souls. She has been granted the right to embrace and warm new life, now blossoms at her fingertips. You will hear the chalice of plenty reverberating through eternity. You will see the veil of Evernight visiting before the break of dawn. Until the journey's end, when all beings reach the end of the earth. And the nameless new king ascends the throne alongside countless heroes to embark on the grand mission of deliverance. I have witnessed the distant past, where the blazing sun once etched the footprints of humanity. The children of humanity, known as the Chrysos heirs, have restored the gods' core flames and once more upheld the world. Losses are a constant on the flame chase journey, among which even life itself holds little value. Therefore, we cast even ourselves into the flame, only to inscribe the opening stroke in the poem of creation.
Of course, this will be a romantic story like none that has come before. You think so too, right?